So yes, all right. Well, let me
Yeah.
introduce the platform first. I'm so excited to see you, and I'm so grateful for us to be able to connect. While this is our first connection, I look forward to us connecting beyond. But welcome to all of our viewers. I'm so excited to have you guys here. She Defines Success is my platform for women's empowerment. The mission is to create representation, but also celebrate and highlight women that are running their own businesses and carving out their own lanes within all industries. The purpose of the Success Talk series is to create representation for women who are leading the way on their own terms throughout all industries by having them share their stories in their own voices. We discuss their experiences, their goals, and explore the links between their personal and professional success. Candace is a Baltimore City native who spent a decade exploring the dynamics of social and economic ecosystems. She's been developing strategies to serve the development of regenerative and self-determined communities. Candace founded the V.P.I firm, is also co-founder, and chief impact officer of Momo Wucha, an equity real estate development firm, and is the creator of Build Beyond the Hustle, bringing strategy, structure, and systems to support BIPOC and women founders, currently in its pilot phase. Candace is the founding board chair of B-CIITY, Baltimore City Intergenerational Initiative for Trauma and Youth, a community-managed coalition of over 60 organizational and social enterprises disseminating over $3.5 million to support community-grown solutions. This year, she was recognized as the Daily Records 2021, last year, she was recognized as the Daily Records 2021 Leading Women's Honoree, a 40 under 40 list recognizing women for exceptional professional experience, community involvement, and commitment to inspiring change. That is quite a very impressive resume, ma'am, for being the same age as I. While I won't share how old we are very young. And so I am just honored to, one, have the lens and the awareness of the work that you're doing, but then to get a chance to sit down and speak with you about the work that you're doing. It's phenomenal. And I would just, love for you to share your story on our platform with hopes of inspiring some other young women who may want to follow in your footsteps. So let's go ahead and kick right into the interview. What inspired you to build a career in community development?
Well, first, thank you, Alexis, for having me here. I mean, we knew each other in high school, didn't really know each other too well, but we knew of each other, and just to see where we are today, it's a blessing, and I'm thankful to be here. So thank you for having me. Also shout out to my sister, Lisa. Thank you for hopping on. I'm glad to see her here. So what inspired me to build a career in community development? Really, I'm not even sure if it was just inspiration or, kind of nurturing. My dad's side of the family, they're from South America. And when they came to this country, they were very community oriented. Even to this day, the house that we call 1950 is on West Side, Edmondson Village area. And, they're still doing food pantries, toy drives. They did street ministry. So, and then that's on my dad's side. Then on my mom's side, she was community association president, kind of the disciplinarian on the block. So, the kids were a little scared of her, but they know it was out of love. And so I grew up with this, understanding that my community was my responsibility. So I'm not sure if I was inspired by a particular thing, but it felt like my duty to really transform my community and have it look the way that I know that it could look.
I think
in the way that
so
I
important.
it
And you may or may not know, but I moved to New York. I was gone for 9 years. And then in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I decided to move back home and just kind of recalibrate and figure out what would be the next step. And on my visits back and forth to home, on my visits back and forth to visit home, I would really find heartbreak at the state of things, because removing myself and kind of being not occupied with it and then coming back and realizing what the disparities were, it was very heartbreaking. And so when I decided to move back in 2020, one of my first missions was to support as many things as I could within the neighborhood and the community, and just try to bring back anything that I've learned to put back into the city, because it's important. And it would be disrespectful of me to leave, gather things that could help my city, come back to my city, and not sow those seeds, right? So I couldn't agree with you more. I've found so much purpose in feeling responsibility for the city, and I didn't feel that way when I was younger. So very excited to be back. I've only been back for what, a year and a half now, almost 2 years, and my husband and I decided we're going to stay. So now I'm ready to like get my hands dirty. So keep me in mind if you ever need anybody, some volunteers for any of the projects, the toy drive or whatever, what you call it, 1950. Definitely, I would love to, you know, get my hands dirty and help you guys out, and you know, help build the community, like you said, that we can see, because we know the potential that's here, we know the resources that are here, we know the people that are here. So it's a matter of just organizing ourselves. So following up with that question, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Also, so another shout out, I saw my Aunt Sonny join. Hey, just I'm always appreciative of, you know, folks taking time out their day to participate. So just wanted to shout out to her. So entrepreneur, I think that I saw it as a means to accomplish like my goals and my vision. So I didn't really have this idea like I'm going to be an entrepreneur. Really, I started with, you know, what are the goals, or what are the results that I want to create in my life, and how do I get there? So entrepreneurship was really a means of getting there. If there was another way to get to the same things that I wanted to do, I would be doing that other way. So entrepreneurship was that tool, was that avenue for me to transform my city. I will say what made it easier to, you know, go into this journey of entrepreneurship is that my mom was a hustler. And I don't mean that in any derogatory way. I mean that in the way that we kind of use it now, right? Like, she was a go-getter. We were the candy house on the block, so all the kids came to our house to get candy. My mom had us packing book bags, going to school with candy, selling it in school. So I was selling candy in middle school, sold candy at bowling alleys, skating rinks, anywhere candy could be sold, we were selling candy. But we also, you know, went with her on weekends to flea markets. So she was a vendor at flea markets. So I'm seeing my mom like kind of make money on her own terms. And so it wasn't that far-fetched. I mean, she never had a business per se, but it wasn't that far-fetched for me to think that, yeah, I can go and do this and, you know, create revenue and generate revenue on my own terms.
Hi, Donna. Thank you for joining. That's really cool. I love that. And she instilled the entrepreneur or hustler spirit into you guys at a young age as well. So it's like second nature. I love that. So what's the best lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur?
That's easy, really, because first and foremost, like, I would not be where I am without my faith in Jesus. And the best lesson for me is to not only to represent God in everything that I do, but to acknowledge him in everything that I do. And, you know, people will, you know, when I do that, sometimes people are like, oh, but you had to do the work and you had to, you know, and it's God that gave me the ability to do this work. He gave me the intellect. He gave, you know, so really being able to, you know, acknowledge God, and he directs my path because I do that. And when I haven't done that, when I thought it was about me, when I thought that I was just so smart and I'm just so great and it was me, God had to humble me, like, take that back a little bit. Like, I'm gonna need you to take a couple seats, right? So you can really see like who this is really about. And so that has been the greatest lesson, because I've been embarrassed publicly because I have not humbled myself. So I'm like, lesson learned. I only had to go through that one time. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to backtrack and make sure that I am giving God the glory in everything that I do. And so while that's the foundation of, you know, my journey and my path, I've learned to prepare, right? Prepare before anything needs preparing for. And I've been able to take advantage of opportunities because I've been prepared. Like, things will come up and I already have the resources gathered, like, because a year ago, I'm like, I don't know when this is going to come to pass, but I know God has put this in my spirit, so I'm going to start working on that now. And it took a year, 2 years, 3 years for it to actually come to pass, but I was prepared for it when it did come. So, one, faith in God, and then two, preparation before
I
you
love
even
that so
think you
much. And
need to
I'm
be
not laughing
prepared.
at you. I'm laughing because it resonates. I've had that same lesson. I had to get very humbled and I appreciate it. I've been publicly embarrassed. I appreciate it. Like you said, only have to learn that lesson once though. So I tread very lightly. And even today, as I was prepping for our interview, I told my husband, I was like, I don't feel like I'm prepared enough. And that's the lesson. Like I need to be overly prepared moving forward. And so like just before you came on, I was still doing little things that I know I could have handled an hour ago. Right. So thank you for that friendly confirmation, because that's definitely been the theme of my day. All right. What are two things that you do often to support your success?
I never stop learning, and learning from all industries, learning from all people. I think that there are so many lessons around us if we take the time to really see, take the time and notice, right? So I have a degree in biology with a minor in chemistry. And it's surprising to people, but many of the strategies that I use, or complex problems that I create solutions for, have typically come from the insights that I've gathered from biology and chemistry, or from other people, like just walking down the street and overhearing a conversation, and this is like where God shows up, right? Because he can show up in anything. And somebody will say something, and I have a revelation about a problem I had in business. And I'm like, I don't know this person. This person is not even talking about anything that has anything related to do with me, but like God used that to reveal something. So like just being open to learning from people that don't believe the way that I believe, from people that don't see see things the way that I see things, but being open to learning and learning from different industries. And so I'm always trying to perfect my craft, right? Hey, Truth, my cuz, hey, cuz. So always trying to perfect my craft. So that means professional development. I just got certified as a foundations team coach. And this is I'm only in the second cohort globally to get the certification. Right. So looking for ways that I can be, at the edge of things, like things that are like on up and coming things, so that I can perfect my craft, I can add value to my clients. So I'm always learning. The second thing I would say is really having accountability teams. People talk about solopreneurship. There's no such thing as doing this thing solo. You can't. Like, you can't do it solo. So I have 3 levels of like accountability teams. The first that I have is what I call a thought partnership team. And these are people that I pay, right? People that I trust, people that are in different industries, people who won't be like yes people, or just like, fangirls or fanboys. Like, they will challenge me, challenge my thinking. And so I meet with them quarterly. I tell them, what I'm up to in my project, any challenges I'm facing. I do that ahead of time. And then when I meet with them quarterly, they're now bringing their expertise to help me think through, like, you're missing this, or this is the blind spot that you didn't realize. And so that's one level, and that I pay them to do that. The second level of accountability is I have what I call like a strategy crew. And so it's myself and other business owners. We meet at the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year, pretty much create our strategic plan for the year. And I'm typically facilitating that because that's my area. And then we check in monthly, like where we are, how much progress we've made, in our strategic plan. And I'm actually, a little pitch here, I'm actually looking to expand that, because when I tell people that I do that, they're like, I want to be a part of that strategy crew. I want to, have a strategy team. So I'm thinking about like just making that like a bigger thing. And then lastly, this year I started with a best friend of mine. We created this letter of accomplishment. And so we look at various areas of our lives, health and wellness, community, family and friends, and we create 3 like results that we want to create in those areas of our lives. And so it's almost like a strategic plan, but for your life. So we're looking at different areas of our life, and then we check in monthly about, you know, our progress made. So those are the things that like keep me grounded, keep me moving. And, you know, success doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by happenstance. It has to be intentionally and
Absolutely. First of
strategically
all, thank
engineered.
you. Okay, you
So
deserve an award for all the gems you just dropped. And that you've said so much that's been super inspiring. One, I would love to be a part of that strategy team. It's what we need for our human communities to thrive, regardless of what industries we're in. We have to have our thinkers coming together with the solutions to really figure it out. And so kudos to you for that. Very, very cerebral, but very organized. And I love that. Again, you know how we roll. Baltimore City College made us very focused on our focus. And it's,
yeah, city, enough said.
That's really
enough
the slogan,
said.
y'all. We're not even playing. It's literally city enough said. Which is how we know each other. We went to high school together, international baccalaureate school, and it was a very, very good school to go to, especially for individuals that are focused on being successful. I could go on about everything that you just said, but I know that it will be like an hour long, so we're just gonna move forward. What are 2 things that you do often for self-care? Also, before we move forward, I just have to say I love you and your best friends check-in, and I think that that's so important because a lot of times we don't have anyone that can really challenge us or be there for us when we're challenged, right? And especially with the pandemic, it's not gone yet, no matter what it looks like. A lot of people have disjointed their routines and disjointed just everything that they knew formerly. And so being able to rebuild, whether it's something on a new foundation or old foundation, but having someone that you trust there, and that is you're checking these like wellness. A lot of people don't really care about that, especially when we talk about success, which is why I created this platform, because I need for us to have conversations around success being personal as well as professional. And I don't even respect professional success if you're not successful personally as well. If your health is suffering, if you know your family is falling apart because you're too invested into your professional life, that does not equate to success for me. So I think it's so important that you highlighted those things as being also a part of your professional success, because you know, without you being in your best condition, your work can't be in its best condition. So next question. No, thank you. What are 2 things that you do often for self-care?
Sleep and sleep. I don't play about my sleep. And I also pull all-nighters. So, you know, but I understand sleep is important. And as an entrepreneur, I'm able to take naps like throughout the day because my time is flexible. So sleep is so important. And then I might, you know, binge watch TV shows. I just finished Top Boy. So, you know, I'll binge watch. Okay. So that's self-care for me.
Binge watching gets my mind off of stuff. I haven't finished Top Boy. We started and then we realized that they had a pre-Top Boy. So we stopped the most recent one to start the pre one. And then we kind of paused that because I was on a Seinfeld binge, and we don't have to discuss that. But I just couldn't help myself. I've been to the whole 9 seasons in like 3 weeks. I just don't know. To be fair, though, it's
my goodness,
noise, and which is why I end up binging a lot of shows, because it'll be playing in the background while I'm trying not to work, and then before I know it, it's season 4.
I can't watch shows and do work. Like, it could be the most boring show. It could be a discovery show about how to make curtains. And I get so distracted. Like, I'll be into it. Like, oh, look how they thread that. Like, I cannot I'm so easily distracted. I can't even
Honestly,
watch
I
TV
think
while
that's
I'm doing
hilarious.
work.
And I don't know what magic power I have to multitask. Well, it's not really multitasking. Like I said, it will at a certain point just become background noise. But I have to know what to put on. Seinfeld is one of those that it could be just a background noise thing. Like I couldn't put on a Top Boy or Queen of the South, which I love. Yeah, like that can't be on while I'm trying to work. It's nothing's going to get done. Okay. Um, I love me some Teresa Mendoza. Mendoza. Yes, love her.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
What is the greatest advice that you've received from another woman?
I wouldn't necessarily call this advice. Yeah, it wasn't advice. I just heard her say this in response to somebody. And I kind of added onto it. Someone was telling a colleague of mine that she needed to stay in her own lane. And she said only vehicles need to stay in their lanes. And so I like that sat with me for a while. And so I wrote that down and I added on to it and I kind of like look at it. So I say like only vehicles need to stay in their own lanes, but I'm an eagle, so I'm laneless. And it's not advice per se, but it's like that thing that reminds me of like who I am in the spaces that I am. I'm an eagle.
I love that.
I don't have a lane.
Informational for me. So earlier when you were talking about God, I'm heavy on the God, okay, and really spiritual. And so I've been thinking about the animal medicine. I've been challenged to consider the animal medicine that's been showing up recently, and it has been birds. So you bringing up the eagle is a very beautiful confirmation. Thank you so much. Okay.
Yes, yes.
We're having too much fun, but I'm here for it. All right. Me too. Me too. Okay.
I love it.
And
Yeah.
also, I love how you were able to take that gym for yourself and cultivate it and turn it into what you needed. That's very important, and especially as people of color. You know, we've been taught a lot of things, or a lot of things have found their way into our psyche that we can remix. Right? We don't have to take everything for what it is, or we don't have to say, "Oh, that's not for me." If you want it, take it, make it how you want it to be. Right? So, giving ourselves that permission is so important, and I love all the permission you gave yourself, and that you also gave us the viewers. You know what I'm saying? To know, to have that authority over our existence. You know what I mean? I appreciate that so much. All right, what's our next question here? Okay, so what do you feel has been your greatest accomplishment to date?
When I was thinking about this question, I'm like thinking about all the things that I've been able to accomplish, and really like nothing stood out as like the greatest accomplishment. And I really just got to the point where like my life, the life that I have created for myself is my greatest accomplishment to date. Because there are so many people who do not enjoy their lives. Like they may enjoy moments in their lives, but they do not enjoy their lives. And when I look around, right, and I always say this, like I've learned to be content, but not complacent. So I'm content with the things that I have, right? So I'm not envious of what other people have. I'm not trying to compare myself to other people. I'm content with what I have, but I'm not complacent because I know that there's more. I know that God has more in store for me. So right now, like I think that the life that I love my friends, I love the relationships that I have. I love the work that I get to do, the impact that I get to have. I love my life. And
that is
to
so
me
important.
is
And
like my
again,
greatest
first of all, I'm
accomplishment.
just so grateful that you're my first relaunch interview, because you're really embodying, you know, what I mean through She Defines Success. You know, you've defined success for yourself. And for you, your greatest accomplishment is your life. Hello? Like that is what it's about. Like I said, professional success, it's not that I can't respect it, but I know that it's relatively empty if we don't have that personal success as well. You know what I mean? It can be detrimental, regardless if it's empty, it can be full of detriment, right? So we have to reconsider and we have to redefine. And that's everything that this platform is about. And so I just thank you so much for being a living example and embodying that, you know, and especially as a woman of color, okay? Because we have our own set of challenges that, you know, we're pushing up against every day, and realities that we're trying to recreate and elevate. And so I'm in awe. Thank you, girl. Thank you for being you. And thank God for making this one. All right. We out here.
Thank you so much for watching Success Talk Interviews hosted by She Defines Success. This interview was with Candace Chance. If you'd like to learn more about her, visit her website, www.thevpifirm.com. Again, that's www.thevpifirm.com. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to have you again soon.